So did my suggestion make sense to you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought it was fine, yeah, it seemed no one else responded, so.
Right.
Yeah, Lauren.
No, I mean regarding rescheduling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Forgot all about that. Very good. Thank you.
You're good at that.
Councilor Moore, I'll need to slip out of your meeting briefly about 4:45 to go to another meeting and then come on back.
We may not take that long anyway.
I knew it was gonna be really good. And also, I'm sure you've seen this.
Thanks.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, we'll call the meeting of the City Infrastructure Committee for September 12th, 2019. We'll have roll call.
Counselor Moore?
Here.
Counselor Gibb?
Here.
Counselor Armstrong?
Here.
Counselor Kelly?
Here.
Counselor Renzel?
Here.
Counselor McFarland?
We have reports from department
I'm sorry,
representatives.
Mayor Reed?
Sorry. Part of the department representatives and discussion with counselors. I think Patrick McFarland had a question that I'll ask for them, and I think he already answered for us, but he was wondering if we had to spend the whole 19 million.
No, we don't need to spend it all. What this resolution does is it, authorizes borrowing up to $19.8 million. Basically tells the state that we're serious about the work, so when they consider our grant and financing application, they know that there's not gonna be an issue with it. One of the next steps will be is after we find out how much grant money we get, and what the interest rate on the state bonds is, then we can sit down and do a financing plan and figure out how our prioritized capital improvement plan work fits with the money we've been offered, and decide what kind of program we want to move forward with. Could be the whole $19.8 million, but we don't have to do it all.
But we need to ask for that much?
We need
Is that
to
what you're saying?
We need to authorize bonding up to that much.
That's not a commitment to bond, just a, range within which we can operate and request later.
Correct.
An authorization rather than a commitment.
Right.
So there'll be multiple steps where you'll have the ability to decide how much, if any, money you want to spend.
Okay, I guess our paving for this year is turning out quite successfully because I'm not fielding very many complaints and I don't see much in the paper, so you guys are doing a great job, Mike and Mike.
Did I read correctly that there's money left over, that there are gonna be 3 additional jobs?
Yes.
Whereabouts will it?
Walworth Street, intersection by Walworth by the police station, and go all the way up through Walworth, Adirondack Lane, and like.
Yeah, we're gonna do both, we're gonna overlay Bowman, and that, and the lower end of Adirondack, was that complaint from the, there's a section that transitions from city-owned to private road. That'll be just a straight overlay. Walworth will be a mill and pave. Smith Street, in the same neighborhood down the flats, will be a mill and pave. If the weather holds, we'll do Adams Street complete from the cul-de-sac cul-de-sac all the way out, and including Jeffrey Lane.
Okay, I have a question. I was just looking at the, the report you gave regarding the original capital plan and then how it's been revised. And just a quick question about how you determine to, for example, add Adams and then take off Brinkerhoff Street from Oak to Margaret.
Well, Brinkerhoff Street wasn't taken off.
Well, I mean, you're not doing it this year.
During this period, but what it is, it entails a more in-depth, it's something we can't do in-house.
Okay,
We're utilizing on contract and we're strictly doing milling and paving or straight overlay projects where we deem we do our repairs on the top end of utilities and the existing utilities in place, we're comfortable with working over them.
okay. So, I mean, then that's true then of the other ones in which you move to some other time, Pine Street to Saranac to Battery, Pine Street Battery to Broad.
The Pine Street projects will coincide with the Saranac River Trail, that's why
Okay.
we've been waiting for the Saranac River Trail project is slow in developing because we had to get through some permitting issues. So
Okay,
those were tied in with that portion.
all right. And
Is that
then-
also
Whoops, never mind.
in probably similar process with Beekman, the short section of Beekman that's in pretty tough shape?
There are also infrastructure issues here with like,
Right. Well, that's what I meant with,
water line, lead goosenecks and stuff that we have to.
Yeah, that'll be, and there's a grant that John and myself and Andrew are working through that, the grant is at 500,000 for lead for the service line replacement. So that section of Beekman that you're talking about, that will occur first, and then we'll look at resurfacing the road.
great, thank you.
And you moved, I guess, you just, the whole long plan isn't listed, but you moved street surveying and street borings, where did that wind up?
We actually are not using those funds.
Okay.
To be spent for this year.
For this year?
Yep.
But at some point, those will be included in another capital plan? Because,
You'll probably see them reoccurring year to year, and what it is allowances for, when a design is done by an outside contractor, or an outside, engineer,
mhm,
and they need to have, data on the existing conditions, so they have to do boring or any sort of street surveys. We
Okay.
can't provide the accuracy, that's what that funding is.
so that's usually a contracted service?
That's correct.
Okay.
Are there any other questions for Public Works?
No, but I'd like to bring it back to number 2. Back for you, Mr. Ruff.
Sure.
What happens if we don't, pass number 2 on the agenda, this item? The request.
For any grant funding or state financing.
So if it's not approved, we won't get the funding
Correct,
at all?
correct.
You can't ask for a lower amount
We could.
with that? Okay, so I guess that's the complaint, I think, or the question from,
Yeah,
Sure.
is
sure,
it's
that's a
it's
lot
an
of
awful lot of money.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it is, but also, I mean, I think that the project is something that's been studied by your offices for how long?
Number of years, and our consulting firm has taken a look
Right.
at the entire water system and said, all right, in a perfect world, here are the top priority projects. I mean, we could come up with $50 million worth of work
Mhm.
to make the whole system, or a lot of the system.
Because we
great.
have aging
But we've got,
infrastructure.
yeah, we've got certain things that we actually have to do. We have to fix our dams, or we have to come up with a groundwater source of supply. There is no funding, grants, or loan money that I'm aware of for dams, but there is for wells. So the top priority in this $19.8 million is like $6 million worth of groundwater well and pipeline development.
Right,
That's work that we're gonna have to do, regardless, so it'd be nice if we had $3 million worth of grant money plus 0% interest financing, go along with it. But this 0% financing that's available, it's not free money, but it's about as close to it as you can get. That program's not gonna be around forever, so
How
now's the time
much-
to identify all the work that we might need to do and develop our plan for potentially pursuing it.
as I recall, there have been, over the years, questions about how to deal with Mead Dam and the fact that it's aging and it's vulnerable. And, you know, we've, as a body, over the years, spent a lot of money trying to
Fix it. Yeah, yeah. Or at least
so it
temporarily,
seems to
yeah.
me like coming up with this idea for the groundwater wells is because you realize that there's a lifespan to the Mead Dam that will involve, if we're going to keep up with its maintenance, a lot of money, and that somehow that the wells can help kind of mitigate the costs of the dam. Is that a fair conclusion?
Right, so Mead Dam and Mead Spillway are off. We don't know exactly what the cost of the improvements is gonna be, because there's one more analysis that needs to be completed, it's called a defamation analysis. But the terminology I use is it's somewhere north of $10 million, probably closer to 15, to get Mead Dam and this spillway to the point where they are in compliance with all the safety criteria. If we can construct groundwater wells in a new pipeline for $6 million, that's obviously much less expensive than 10 to 15. And the fact that we can get grant money and subsidized or 0% interest loans makes it that much more affordable. So we've got to do something with Mead Dam.
Right.
What we've done temporarily is drawn down the pool level of the reservoir 5 feet, so that there's no water going out onto the spillway that's in need of repair, and it's that much less hydrostatic pressure on the dam itself.
And will you be able to do that further with the installation of wells?
That's what the deformation analysis is going to
Right,
tell us. Is
okay.
how far do we need to draw the pool level down so that we don't need $15 million worth of improvements?
Okay.
Now, we draw the pool level down, we don't have as much storage, all right, which now puts us in an operational state of anxiety. Do we have enough water? So what we're saying about the wells is the wells are designed to supplement or possibly replace the Mead Dam volume.
Okay.
So let's say the engineers come back and say, okay, pull down, draw down of 5 feet does it. All right, now we're short, I don't know, 80 million gallons of storage. We put in 1, maybe 2 wells for a couple $1 million. We've supplemented the capacity we lost. I'd say we're good to go.
Right.
If
So
they
the
say
well-
you gotta draw it down 25 feet, now we got no water in the dam, we're gonna need 4 or 5 wells.
So
Right.
the wells would be supplemental, we would still continue to use
We
the
Yep.
current system?
Potentially, yeah. So, and we're just talking about Mead now, so the wells will supplement and or replace Mead as a source. If we find out that we have to draw Mead down all the way, unless we put $15 million into it, we're probably gonna draw it down, go to the wells to replace Mead. If we only need to draw Mead down 5 or 10 feet, now we still have a lot of storage volume in there, we'll use the wells to just supplement that capacity. Keep in mind, we also have the Westbrook Reservoir System, and we have the ability to draw water out of Saranac River. Now, the Westbrook system has much less capacity, and there's been more concern about water quality in that watershed.
All right.
Saranac River has a lot of capacity, but even more concern about raw water quality, because it changes with the weather.
Well,
and it's-
plus the fact of where you have to get it to the water treatment plant.
Right, so in order to get it from the river, we gotta bring it into Westbrooks, from Westbrooks, we gotta bring it through some transmission
Right.
lines that are from the 1880s, so that causes us some reliability concerns. Now, we can also transfer water from the river to the Westbrooks and then to Mead, but if we can't bring up that pool level in Mead, now all of a sudden we can't get it through.
Gee,
there.
I'm
So-
glad that's your problem.
Yeah, there's a bunch of moving parts in place, and they're all good.
But one other question I have is where would the debt service, whatever the cost of the
Okay.
loan eventually is come
So
from?
let's say we're gonna borrow some amount of money, between 0 and $19.8 million. That's gonna be a decision we make collectively, once we find out from the
Right.
state how much grant we get, and what our interest rate's gonna be on the bonds. We're gonna sit down, we're gonna do a financing plan that we all agree works. It's gonna involve borrowing a certain amount of money, which is gonna result in an annual bond payment that we're gonna need to figure out, all right, how are we gonna make that bond payment? That bond payment's probably gonna be between $200,000 and $750,000 a year.
From what fund?
What's that?
From your fund?
From the water fund.
Yes.
From
So
the
that's
water fund.
another important point to
Yeah.
make.
Uh,
And how robust is that fund?
And there's, presently, we've already got an annual cash flow of about $200,000 a year into the fund specifically for water supply, for Mead and Westbrook's. So if we, I don't know, let's say we bonded $5 million and it was a $200,000 a year bond payment. We've already got the cash flow for that. People aren't gonna need to contribute any more money in their monthly water bill. If for some reason we did the whole 19.8 million, I ran it over at a higher interest rate than we're getting now. I think I ran it at like 3.5%, but we're actually getting it at about 2 now. Two. That would be a bond payment, I think, it was in the neighborhood of $700,000 to $800,000 a year. So you take the $200,000 we already got off of that, convert that to, and that's our resulting payment. Then, how are we gonna come up with that money? And what we've done in the past is implemented infrastructure investment charges, which is a fixed monthly fee that people pay.
In what people pay in their water bill.
Correct. So like for the storage tanks, the average person pays $1.50 a month towards the water storage tanks that we built 10 years ago. But the mayor actually has had us develop what's called an infrastructure demand charge, which I think is gonna be incorporated into next year's budget,
Okay.
which is, if you adopt it the way it's been developed so far, that demand charge would cover the cost to hold the bonds. And that's not on residential users, it's only on the users who have the potential to exert a higher demand,
Okay.
the larger commercial and industrial
Okay.
users. All right, so I just threw a lot of mumbo jumbo out there for you.
No, I got it.
Okay.
That was very thorough.
Okay.
Now I'm
good.
happy.
Okay, good.
We want you to be
Then I'll
happy.
shut up.
No, and thank you, Rochelle, because you chimed in with some good things, so
Okay.
that was very clear to me now.
John,
Maybe you can explain it to me later.
I'd like
Well,
to.
don't get too wild.
Just teasing.
Jeff,
I'd
are
like
you
to go on
satisfied with
record
that?
and say that I'm a big
Yeah,
fan of
I just wanted to
Mead
comment too,
Dam.
like the state, it really encourages use of groundwater more than surface water nowadays because, you know, the threat of contamination, terrorism, that sort of thing. So, and most of our surface water isn't really that clean anymore,
Okay.
so it would be a good idea to at least look into the well.
Yeah, there's pros and cons.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the current system because it runs without any additional input.
Exactly, it's gravity flow.
Yeah.
So, in a perfect world, we'd be able to keep Mead Dam at full pool elevation. It's gravity flow. And actually, compared to for surface water sources, that's a really nice, clean surface water source. And it's all gravity flow through the system. Moving to wells, we start to get into risk analysis on possible bad things that could happen. We're not pumping, we're relying on electricity, all right? We know electricity goes out, so we're gonna have backup generators. That's more cost, but it's also something else that can fail too. So, where I'd like to get to, in a perfect world, is to have a nice, what's the word? You know, I'm gonna,
Hybrid?
What's that?
Is hybrid the word?
hybrid is close to the word I'm thinking of. Oh, a water supply portfolio. How about that? Of nice clean Mead water, nice clean groundwater. The Westbrook's continuing as a surface and a potential to draw from the river. Because even though the river is much more difficult to treat, it's high volume. And if we can get it to the plant and to the city, we can at least have water for fire flow and for flushing toilets and all that, even if we can't treat it to the level we'd like to. In an emergency, we got a lot of water there we can use to make sure everybody's safe. So that's, as we look at things like climate change and these compounds of emerging concern that are popping up all the time, we start to look for flexibility down the road for the next 2-3 generations. How can we make the water supply as flexible as possible? Because frankly, we don't know what's gonna happen. We know climate's changing, we don't know how it's gonna change. All the data engineers used to use to rely on to build new systems, you can't, because the weather's changed so much, and we don't know what it's gonna be in the future. So what the design community has concluded is, we can't rely on the old data when we design systems, so what we need to do is design systems that are flexible, that are resilient and robust, so that no matter what happens, we can adapt to it. So, if we have 4 sources of water, Saranac River, Westbrooks, Mead, and groundwater, that's better than 3.
Thank you.
Okay, were there any other questions for anyone? If not, we'll move on to item 2. Let's just treat these all as one. Just make, entertain a motion to move these agenda items that would be recommended to the council.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, who goes on? Any old business? Any new business? Well, I just have one comment. Counselor Gibbs and myself are continuing to evaluate some of our facilities to see how viable they are for continuing in the future, how much things cost us, so we are continuing to do that. We have no results for anyone, but.
Well, one thing that was provided to us is how, the cost of the work that DPW is doing for every other place in the city. So they asked Jeff to, maybe we could sit down and take a closer look at it. Is the actual labor that goes into everything that has to get done in the city. So we're gonna take a closer look at that. I'd also like to recognize you guys because I was out on a bike ride with my son and I didn't realize that Compass Rose, this had come up in one of those livable community reports, how the Compass Rose had been damaged and there was graffiti, and I didn't even realize that you guys had fixed it and gotten rid of the graffiti, and I was out there with my son on a bike ride, and I just wanna thank you. I had no idea you had done it, so thank you.
Okay, if there's no further business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will make that motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is, or committee meeting is adjourned.
Okay. Oh, I would love to sign.
We have 6 minutes,
How much minutes?
6 minutes left before our organization, or, work session.
Oh. Can you? Take a look at what I signed. Oh, no, I already did. Okay, here we go.
That's a payroll, isn't it? Or excuse me.
I'm assuming that since you both signed, you've already checked, right?
We check, but yeah. You'd be okay.
I sit there and I go over everything.
A hard stool these days, huh?
I can't sit for a couple of weeks, so I can lie down. I could come in here with a bed and lie down.
Now that sounds intriguing.
But this is good for me.
I bet you're thankful to be back though.
I am.
Yeah, I knew you would be.
Yeah, it's good to see him
I
out
miss
and
this
about,
gig,
at least he's
yeah.
moving around and stuff.
Okay, I think that's everything. There you go. I am gonna go run to the restroom before we. Anything else.
Just over Riverside for a quick, the ceremony there.
Oh,
They put them on first, so we can
Oh.
These are weird too.
Well, you know, see, I was down there flight, my neighbor 2 weeks ago. So,
And
you know,
Robert is right.
granted, she might be like, you're gonna live in Florida, so it's easy, so I think, well, 45 years later, it looks small, you know, you're going. I get out there, all I'm ready to black out. When I was like 18. They're in Western Illinois.
So Sarah, Sarah's actually very important. So then,
Well, that's better than the alternative.
Your body's adapting, you're getting better processing. Get like 2 weeks back. Yeah, the thing is, there was a lot of that kind of stuff. You had to play, you didn't have to play smart. You have to chip it.
Well, listen, no, if I didn't buy one, I'd get one for free.
Hey,
What's up?
are you kidding? I'm not getting water.
I don't know.
Wait, can you get her one? How did the infrastructure get
good. No, pretty straightforward, just some questions about the loan and,
Actually,
The
very
loan.
to the point that you brought up by email about it.
I've been in trial all day. I didn't see any emails today. So,
the answer to your question was that it's only the, kind of like the upper floor of how much we
oh, the
might,
bond issue?
that we might need to apply for. It only authorizes an amount not to exceed that. But, it's a low interest loan. It's,
Is it a zero interest loan?
it's a zero interest loan.
I just don't want to say we've agreed to it and then it never come back to us.
Right.
That's what I'm concerned about. Because I would rather each little project get our approval. More micromanaging.
Well, eventually, the loan amount will need our approval. Okay. But anyway, if you are interested in kind of the history of this project, John gave an excellent history
He
of
did,
the project.
very thorough, very,
Yeah,
Shit, I'll have to get lunch.
very clear.
yeah. But it, basically is trying to solve a problem with our water sourcing that John has been working on for a number of years. And he explained that the installation of groundwater wells helps take the pressure off of what the new dam needs to do. And,
That I get. You kind of said that.
yeah.
That's it. I got a whole. As soon as Jeff gets back in.
My favorite one was his hands. The sharpies make his hands bigger.
Oh, that's good. I haven't seen that.
Can you, what does this mean? When there's an overtime recovery, what does that mean?
I don't know, ask Richard.
Richard,
Richard,
We have a
can
money
you come
question.
here, please?
We
We
have
have
a
a quick
money
question for
question.
you.
money. Money question. Something called an overtime recovery, I don't really know what that means. I don't know what this means. Can you explain that? What does that mean?
Is that overtime that's been
recovery?
reimbursed
What's
by
that?
That's
other?
what
It means
Counselor
reimbursed.
Ensel wanted put on the report because he wanted to see the overtime recoveries against the overtime spent by the city.
That's the
Because he said we were
reimbursement.
misrepresenting the total number, because we weren't putting in the recoveries. And I said, misrepresenting is a harsh word when it comes to.
That wasn't my word, that was your word.
No, you said that.
Did I?
Yes. You said you're misrepresenting this because you're not showing the recoveries, you're not showing the net expenses. So well, misrepresentation is a strong word. So anyway, these are overtime recoveries where you get revenue from different issues for like fire recoveries and police overtime. So it just gives you the net number against the gross number. No, it's not. It's pretty insignificant when you look at it.
What does it mean, year-to-date variance? When I'm looking at this number, what does that mean?
You got a budget? You got year-to-date budget, year-to-date actual, and the budget minus the actual gives you this.
Meaning, they haven't spent it or they've overspent
Take
it?
overspent.
Overspent, that's what I wanna know.
277 versus 269, so
So
this
they're
is,
not on target.
no, we've overspent the entire overtime budget by $132,000 so far. Yep. And you can see which departments are doing it.
Oh, yeah,
Pretty much all of them.
that I've got. So one thing I asked the mayor for, I'm gonna bring it up again tonight because I've been asking for this for weeks and weeks and weeks now. I wanted, I wrote it down, exactly what I want.
Yep.
Categorized overtime usages in both fire departments.
Right, which we don't have.
They do.
They won't tell us how they spend their time. If we don't have a system,
That's why I
we'll
want
capture it.
them to do it. I've been asking for it, and again, I'm gonna bring it up again.
Now remember, Councilor Armstrong has the response from them about how they dislike the overtime in the fire department because it compromises their second jobs.
Well, I'm not interested in that.
Well, I know.
I want the nuts and bolts. I'm trying to get to the bottom of a number of things, and I'm not getting anywhere, is the only way to say it.
Yeah, we just get a timesheet that says how much overtime they spend. We have no idea how they spend it. And we don't have any idea that if, you know, an ambulance goes out on a call and 2 people leave a firehouse, and they call 2 people in to sit on overtime until that ambulance comes back. I think they do. I think. It's my presumption. So, anyway. But yes, that's a good analysis to have. I would love to see it. You guys deserve to see it.
Keep asking.
Yeah, if we had a good timekeeping system, which we were supposed to have with, the first one Desi bought was, California company, I can't remember the name. It'll come to me. We got rid of that one because it couldn't handle their shifts, and we couldn't get any information out of them anyway, any detailed information, because they were keeping it, they were just giving us the exceptions to the normal payroll. And then the next one was In Time. And In Time is being used by the police and the fire. And I think that's supposed to track every piece of time that they spend. So you should see exactly what they're spending.
I'd like to call to order the work session for September 12th, 2019. Does anyone have anything on the agenda that you would like to discuss for the regular meeting?
Yes, I'd like to say welcome back
Oh,
to the
thank you.
council. We
That's
missed
not on the
you.
agenda.
Thank you. I miss you guys too, and I miss my responsibilities as a city councilor, so it is very nice to be back. Thank you. Anything anybody would like to discuss?
Yeah, there's, hold on, let me pull out my agenda. Yeah, I think we should not do 7H on the agenda.
H.
Can you explain your thinking there?
Yeah, cause this 49,000, I'm assuming that's cause of the parking. The parking committee set forth a recommendation months ago. I've kind of been up on it. I think I asked Dean to look into something, cause I think there was concern of whether we needed all of this is contingent on this actually being the parking, ticket money.
Wait a
I'm
minute,
pretty sure it
this
is.
is the police department?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
No?
not?
Oh.
49,000 is from police fees, not from parking tickets.
Alright, never mind.
And if we don't adopt the budget adjustment, then we not pay some bills that are already outstanding and over budget.
I'm fine with that.
We don't wanna do that, right?
Okay, if this isn't, I thought this was.
I mean, we could do that, which means the department people will have to pay for the cost for that themselves.
Yeah, well, what was your misunderstanding that?
I thought
had
this
something
was
to do with the parking?
Increasing the budget for the, due to the
No, what
influx
it's
of
doing
parking
is,
tickets.
it's correcting some budget, under budgeted items for the police department, where they traditionally and consistently have under budgeted certain expenditures each year. So they have to increase these three budget lines so we can pay some bills.
Fair enough.
Go back to them and say, we don't have the money for these, so what are you gonna do? So their police fees were budgeted at $60,000 for the year, and they're up to 109. So they said, well, if we will increase the budget for the revenue, which we under budgeted, then we can pay for the bills by increasing those line items by the same $49,000.
So I guess my question is, and I haven't had a chance to go through it thoroughly, the mayor's proposed budget has those under budgeting, that history of under budgeting been rectified?
I wouldn't say yes on that until I looked at the numbers.
So where is this 49,000 that's extra, this is extra revenue that they didn't budget
It
for?
is extra, well, let's say it's under budgeted estimated revenues. Police fees have come in at 109,000 and was budgeted for 60.
So what's,
So
still,
they're
what's the
using-
extra 49? Where's it from? It's not from parking though. That's,
Not parking. Police fees
Okay.
is totally different from parking violations.
okay.
So
That's what I wanted to make sure of.
So where is the money coming from then? I think that's what you asked.
Yeah, that's also. What are police fees? What is that?
It would be overtime, that we get paid for from Plattsburgh Housing Authority.
Okay,
It would be reimbursements for academy fees. It would be, the police fees that we charge for the school security that were placed over there. And that all goes into police fees.
okay. Thank you, Rich.
Richard.
Thank you.
Any other agenda items that you'd like to discuss?
Yeah, John, I know, you kinda gave them, I was late, obviously, but the 19.8 in a bond issue is just authorizing a bond issue. It's not authorizing exactly, doing those loans yet. Any specific projects would still come to us for approval?
Projects would come to you for award.
Yeah.
Purchase orders would go through the normal purchase order process that you're involved in, so.
Yeah, I just remember last week, we applied for the grant for 3 million, that has to constitute 60%. So we have to do at least 5 million, which would be 2 million out of the city's pocket. But the engineers estimated a lot of projects that would add up to 19.8 million. And maybe we wanna do all of those, but we only have to do a minimum of 5 million of those.
Actually, we don't have to do any of them if we choose not to. The state will probably be upset,
Sure.
if we go through the process and get grant money and all that. But we're not committed to actually doing any of the work.
And I just wanna make sure that today, if we approve that budget item, we're not committing to 19.8 million.
It's not a budget item.
It's
It's
not,
a bond.
It's
Bond
a
issue.
bond resolution,
okay,
which means the city can issue debt if it wants to. But before the city issues the debt, you need to have a bond resolution authorizing it in place. And then what you'll see coming forward is capital project resolutions asking you to spend the money in a capital asset for the city of Plattsburgh.
okay,
On this agenda, there's a $500,000 one for Mead Dam, to drill a well
Sure.
adjacent to Mead Dam, which is the start of the capital projects, but we're not saying that that funding is gonna come from this bond resolution. We're saying right now, that's gonna come from the water fund.
okay.
But that
And-
would be the beginning of the capital projects that we would present to you to go against that bond resolution to issue debt eventually.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know you were in court, so, I mean, I bet it would be worthwhile for you to kind of review what John explained about the total project. And then he went on to explain the debt, once we did commit to a bond, how it would be financed, and it's all through the water, through what was that called?
Water fund.
Water fund, but what charge?
Infrastructure investment charges.
Infrastructure investment charges that are part of the
IICs.
water bill.
They're on the water bill, yeah.
Perfect, I'll watch the video later.
Okay,
You can look on your water bill and you see you have 3 sets of IICs. The water tanks, the Mead Dam, and the Westbrook dams. We're charging for them already. And John put the Mead and Westbrook Dam infrastructure and charges in place
$200,000 a year, you said? Yeah.
And then the water tanks, I think, is another 217,000 a year we're charging. Now, they have a lifespan on them. They're not permanent water increases, there's a lifespan.
I'm gonna bring all this up to you.
Interesting. And they will go away?
Things I could ask before I'm
Then
gonna
they'll go
so I'm
away.
gonna bring it up again.
Once the debt and so forth goes away.
Yes.
Well, thank you for
And
that
these.
explanation, I appreciate it.
Passed at the last public safety meeting because these were really.
You're welcome.
Existing representative. It's here, hold on.
Any other agenda items you'd like to discuss for the regular meeting?
Why not option, what's resolution G doing, Richard?
G?
Yeah.
Okay, D is. Oh. Okay, I was looking at D, Canadian Pacific, that's different. G is the rec complex fund, original budget, oh, okay. This is the one where, when I originally budgeted the healthcare, expenses appropriations for 2019, I left rec complex short. It should be 0.39% instead of 0.22% of the allocation of the healthcare bills each week and each month. If you look at the actual results for the healthcare postings this year, all of the funds are about 63, 64, 65% through the current time. And rec complex is 115%, so it's over budget, and that's just because I left it under budget at the beginning of the year by this $10,000.
Okay.
So what I'm doing is I'm shifting it from the general fund to the rec complex fund as far as the budget amount. It doesn't change anything overall for the total budget. It will increase the budget for the rec complex and reduce the budget for the general fund by $10,000. You'll be seeing a lot of these budget adjustments for the rest of the year because we're getting down to the end of the year when the actual expenses have to agree to the budgeted appropriations.
Okay.
Is there anything left
This is the start of it.
for the safety budget?
And,
So they're coming.
Mike, what are the 3 additional street paving items that you wanna add for?
The three additional is Walworth, and it would be from the Battery Street intersection all the way through to the other end, Smith Street, again, complete. Then we're looking at, like I said, it's Roseville, Adams Street, including Jeffrey Lane.
Where's Adams Street?
Adams is off of Broad, right behind the
Why
hospital.
don't we do that in
Off of Cornelia.
Or Cornelia, that's right, yeah.
We need to do that in January.
And the third one, I'm sorry, was?
Adams.
I have
Adams,
Walworth,
and
Adams, okay.
That's right, because we got.
We're doing all that,
Well, Adirondack and Walworth, that's more just an overlay, it's not
Oh.
actually.
so you know where you work.
Yeah, I can't
Between
wait,
them, this
because I'm
thing's
looking for.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
And you need the paver and item F to do those?
What we're looking for there, what that is an attachment for a skid steer we purchased this year. It's probably about as much of a paving machine as you want to purchase. Mayor and Mike and I have talked about this a lot. The city actually used to own paver, I guess, way back. We do a lot of handwork, you probably see us throughout the city. Not only do we do these large paving projects, we're in contract, but we do a lot of patching. This is a attachment that we can put on our skid steer, we did a demo on it, it will help speed up the process. This one's a little fancier. We looked at some manual versions that only what basically DOT is using, but this adapts to a tool we currently have, and it should speed up the process of this noise patching.
We get a lot more done.
Yeah, 'cause we're still way behind, and even though we're doing well, I know Jeff made a comment, he's getting through complaints, we're still getting a considerable amount of complaints. There's a lot of large open seams you'll see throughout the city, we're gonna do some crack sealing next week, and some other, we'll continue on our patching program. We're not there yet, we had a real tough winter.
Will this eliminate the need for doing a lot of like the hand patching with the,
That's what this will.
taking the shovel and scooping it out?
A lot of,
tamping it
a
down?
lot less raking.
Yeah.
Basically, you'll ability to rebate, it's what they call push box paper, it's not automated, so you put asphalt in front of it, you push it, and it'll spread it for you, and then you can just roll right behind. expensive, mind you, it is hydraulically operated, a lot of them are manually operated, we've been looking at, I've been looking at different variations, they have another item called a drag box pay where you put it in a truck, but this adapts well, and I think this will give us the most bang for our buck.
But over the life
It'll
of
free up a lot of labor.
it'll pay for itself through
Oh,
saved man hours, correct?
Absolutely, and it's also very simple, it's not a high maintenance item, there's very little that can go wrong with it. You're talking 2 hydraulic cylinders, most of it's a manually operated thing, so it's something that you can maintain with in-house. If you go with an automated paver, a paving machine, a highway paver, for instance, the ones the guys are bringing to town, they're approaching $750,000 now for one of those, $600,000 range. It's a big paver, for a driveway paver, like you see a driveway, probably about $125. It's nothing we really wanna own, there's a lot of parts and pieces that really cost us a lot. So we're better off to, like we do, to subcontract big pavers out and use something like this for our patch.
Thanks, Mike. And can anyone explain to me I was looking at these maps, this whole detour thing, because I don't have a grasp on it. So
For Route 22?
Yeah, the Route 22, what's the detour?
Route 22 goes right by
The airport.
Yeah.
And there's a train track crossing?
There's a rail
There's a
crossing
rail
there,
crossing.
and we've actually had, Best fielded several complaints. It's within the rail right away, there's large sections of concrete and asphalt that goes away. CP is going to do a repair there, they're also gonna do, like I spoke to you earlier, Miller Street. Unfortunately, they don't give us a real big heads up of when they wanna do these type of things. Basically, they just show up and do them. You've probably seen them on Boynton, they're still working the signals, even though we paid Boynton, they're changing all the signals out. They aren't interfering with the current traffic flow with the signal work, but they will on this Route 22, because they're gonna have to shut it down. And that's what the detour is all about.
And where does the detour go?
They're gonna run them down North Catherine, is what I recommended. I haven't seen the final, we gave them some recommendations on it. They're actually suggesting they show up and make a presentation to you about it, because it's not something that you have a,
Okay.
you guys have to approve street closures and this type of item, not public works.
And so on this item, we're not agreeing to street closures, we're just being informed, or?
They're gonna wanna close the section off for a while, 22.
Yeah, so like a week.
And also gonna have a substantial detour.
Will that be complete closure, or will it be like one way?
I believe it's gonna be complete closure for a couple hours a day. I think what I read was a 4-hour window right now. Yep. I don't know the length of it.
Yeah, from
Yeah,
six to
we
2.
don't get a whole lot of detail out of it.
They said 6 to 2.
6 to 2.
6 to 2, okay.
That's gonna be a hardship for people coming in off the interstate into town.
Yes, we had spoken to them about making sure that they get, I'm worried about big trucks coming in on the south end, not getting past the airport, or actually not even getting past, as they say, the Clark Truck Center, because otherwise they're gonna struggle to turn those big rigs around.
Wonder if they could put some of those electronic signs on the
We suggested
Northway
there,
and
yes,
also
yes.
on 22 coming up over the overpass.
That was suggested though.
Yeah, I don't know if they submitted a final plan to Beth to show you guys, we did not see a final yet.
They all met on Tuesday.
Yeah, I looked at it, but
They did the same thing last year on Boynton, and we didn't even know about it until it started.
that's pretty much every agenda item, I think.
We have a few minutes left, we could do, council reports. But
Committee
before we
reports.
Do that, I'd like to point out that, the reports of city offices and committee reports section of the agenda should have one addition, and that is the minutes from the governance strategy and city operations. That was included in our packets, but it wasn't included on the agenda here, so that is in our minutes. Okay, any councilor reports?
No updates from MLD.
No report from the library?
Although I will say MLD has started moving into the place on Sharon Avenue.
Okay. Any word on how that's going, Patrick?
No,
They're moving
not
quick, they've already got one or two buildings completely cleared out.
Well,
perfect.
That's good.
if I may, I had a question regarding the vacated facilities that might be the new location of the farmer's market. Someone asked if there were restrooms.
There are not.
There are not currently restrooms in the building.
Will there be in the future?
That has been one of the requests that's been made by the market to be added to the building. We're currently speaking to them about what their priorities are in terms of improvements. Once we have that, we'll start putting together cost estimates.
I do have a quick report, so that the entire council is aware, that you've heard me report out that we had some meetings in late summer regarding police and fire budgets, and especially as it pertains to overtime, staffing, policy, and we've had a lot of meetings. I have requested categorized overtime usages on both the fire and the police. I haven't received them yet. I've requested them several times now. I haven't received anything. I've also asked for a report on the calls, complaints, and arrests on Upper Zone 2. Haven't received anything about that either.
What's Upper Zone 2?
That's
Center
that college
City.
corridor.
Center City.
Oh.
Center City,
Okay.
Beekman Court,
Um,
or
and I've asked for that
Winterhoff Court.
several times, and I've asked for the last several weekends. So I just wanted the whole council to know that I am continuing to ask for information, but I haven't been provided. In the last public safety meeting, when we talked about the Plattsburgh Housing Authority officer that we were going to locate or allocate, and the resource officer for the school, there were some item numbers on the contracts that said we were supposed to get some reports, and we haven't received those either. So I just wanted to make the whole council aware of that I've asked and haven't received. So I will reach out to the mayor once more and ask for those, and I'm hoping by the next public safety meeting, we can have some resolution to some of these things that I've asked for, especially when I look at the overtime.
We can make a formal resolution requesting them if you want.
We can do that.
I believe so. As Dean.
Can we do that, Dean?
Yeah, the charter authorizes the council to demand reports from the mayor's office. The council, not councilors necessarily, certainly, you can make that request, but to take a formal council action would require council resolution.
How do I do that? Do I have to do that with you?
You can do it as an initial
You
resolution.
can do initial consideration.
Wow.
Yeah.
There we go.
So how do I do that, Dean? Just bring that up during resolution for initial consideration and
You'd have
ask?
to have something kind of
Put
written.
some language down.
Put
Wow.
some language down
Oh,
and then
language.
bring it up for initial
Sounds right up your
consideration.
alley.
But Dean, if I write something up and pass it down to you, can you let me know if it sounds okay?
Any other council reports?
That's the way, Elizabeth. Like, formal requests. I like it. I don't have anything else, so.
Okay. The finance committee meets next week. Maybe we can get together, Jeff and
What's that?
Richard and the mayor, and talk about finance, and also the upcoming budget, and get something in place for that. I know last year, Rochelle requested that each department do a budget narrative, and that turned out to be a really good thing. So, I'd like to see us do that again, and have it published on the website like we did last year.
Yeah, I like the narratives, I gotta say.
I did too. Okay, we're gonna turn the meeting back over to the mayor now that he's returned.
Well, and just kind of follow up on that, we're meeting with an Open Gov representative who would like to try to compete with Socrata next week. We're trying to get a 9 o'clock meeting for Tuesday, right, Jeff?
I think it's all set, isn't it? The meeting
you-
for
we-
Socata?
I was waiting to hear back from you.
Yeah, I emailed you, I didn't get it until just now. So anyway, maybe time will work out with the representative, I think they'll be accommodating. And then on the 17th at 11:17, we're going to meet with Jeff, Patrick and I, we're gonna meet with Jeff and/or Mike, regarding the rec complex facility investigation.
That would be great.
I take we've been doing reports. Are there any additional reports that councilors like to offer? If not, we can have a very brief 1-minute intermission before we begin our official meeting at 5. Thank you. Don't spend it all in one place.
Yes, sir.
It's made a lot of fire.
Councilor Gibbs, the reports are all available for next week for the Public Safety Committee meeting, and they'll be all updated. The PD and fire reports.
And there are also other reports I asked for in the last public safety meeting about the PHA report, the resource officer, haven't gotten any of those either.
No, not yet. I'll ask for those.
And that's part of the contract, and we approved it that night, and I asked for it. So,
PHA,
Mayor Reed?
Public safety reports.
Public safety isn't
Public safety reports. There's supposed to be a
Public safety isn't next week.
I guess one would be, oh, I guess the fire would be this one. We'll get them for next week.
So, you're telling me I don't have to put up this item for?
Well, no, because it's
Me?
being processed, so.
Well, I haven't gotten any information, and I've been asking for it, and the council wants it, and I wanna make some progress on the things that I'm trying to get.
Finance meets next week, not police.
Okay,
Is it-
so I'll have this next week, you think?
Hopefully it's not a,
Well, I prefer to just do it once a month.
That would be
At the Public
fantastic.
Safety Committee meeting.
But I'd actually like it before then, because I'd like to actually have some conversations before the next week. Can I have it next Thursday?
Sure.
Fantastic. We're gonna get that without this, because we're
Ready?
gonna have it Thursday.
Okay, we begin the meeting tonight then? We're gonna begin the meeting with a Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Reed,
Present.
Counselor Armstrong.
Here.
Counselor Kelly.
Here.
Counselor Gibbs.
Here.
Counselor Ensign.
Here.
Counselor McFarland.
Here.
Counselor Moore.
Here.
Just a few brief updates. First of all, every one of you can enjoy all the events this weekend. Starting from last night, we did the commemoration of the bridge on behalf of Gary Vancour and Kit Booth last night. A very nice gathering, but we have all kinds of Battle of Plattsburgh events today. I just came back from the Riverside cemetery ceremony just a moment ago. So there'll be music, there'll be lots of events also at the Strand, but also in the new permanent stage right down here in Monument Park. I hope you all can take a look at it on your way out and encourage any local musicians to play. It's a community resource. So I think we're gonna have a great weekend. I'm really looking forward to the parade on Saturday, and you're all invited. Second item, well, I'm gonna have a few proclamations I'm very excited for in just a moment. I did share with the Common Council, I developed with the assistance of legal counsel and our outside legal counsel a settlement offer with regard to some of the issues been working through with the town. I discussed that very briefly with the town supervisor. We'll be bringing it to his council, I presented it to you, and I'm sure we'll be having a national discussion on that submarine. But my greatest honor tonight is, this is the Battle of Plattsburgh weekend. Many of you have some really beautiful buttons that you're wearing, and you actually have the young artists that helped develop these buttons, as you know, they're close to the competition this year. And I thought it was fitting on the inaugural night of the Battle of Plattsburgh weekend to have our young people come forward and receive confirmation. So please come forward. Hard to continue, but please continue. Moved by Councilor Armstrong, second by Councilor Kelly. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Moved by Councilor Kelly, second by Councilor Neal. First, Councilor Kelly, put the down here so they can deal with it. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Passed. Are there any other committee reports? So resolved that reports as listed are capable to receive any written reports or placed on file among the public records of the clerk's office, moved by Councilor Gibbs, seconded by Councilor Armstrong. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Passed. Report sponsored or recommendations from the board at this time. Councilor Henson, seconded by Councilor. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Moved by Councilor Gibbs, second by Councilor Moore.
Yes, I think I mentioned to Mike and Mike, I think we really should ensure that they have adequate signage up that alerts motorists of the closure.
Well, maybe we should focus down and, they're not gonna take the precautions
Or table it.
necessary. Yeah.
Table it until they tell us what their plans are.
Okay. Should we put some conditions in the resolution?
I'm not sure.
Or being railroad.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Yes.
Reluctant, yes.
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 $212,038.
Moved by Councilor Gibbs, second by Councilor Farrell. Discussion.
I think our Department of Public Works is to be community continuing in the budget on the two previous projects, which makes these additional projects possible. Buy one.
Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. $49,000. Richard's over there having a cord now.
Moved by Counselor Gordon, second by Counselor McDonald. Roll call?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
No travel requests at this time under any resolution for any consideration. And I did note, potentially the prepared already. Did want to revise some of these up to date as well. Any other new business or council?
Yes, I received a call the other day from a constituent that lives up in the Eastgate and Trafalgar area. And they followed it up with an email to me today, a letter. They have some concern for Halloween, with the large number of kids they have trick-or-treating in the area, and cars and vehicles and so on. So they have a couple of ideas in regard to how they want to emphasize that they enjoy having all the trick-or-treaters and so on in the neighborhood, but there's some safety issues. So they worked out a couple of ideas that they hope the council will adopt, and then going to present them in another week or two. But it would require the input from both the police department, the fire department, as well as maybe to a limited extent DPW, because it would involve making some of the roads one way, further out some of the other streets, and making them loop through so that traffic would be flowing in one direction, and you don't have traffic going both ways. And as we all know, at that time of night it's dark and the street lights going both ways and blinded, and you have kids
There are no
going through.
sidewalks on any
There are
of
no
the streets.
sidewalks on the street too.
Same issue in my neighborhood.
So, I just wanna let the council know that that's being worked on, and it will be probably coming to us, during
Any closing public comments? Any comments? Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Councilor Gibbs, second by Councilor McFarland, roll call?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Thank you all for coming.
Good to see you, Mike. Feel good to be back?
Yes, it does. Yeah. Since I don't really work anymore,
This is your word.
I really do enjoy it.
This will put you to sleep if we can't sleep.
See you, take care, thanks.